Oh, from New York, you are listening to Extra Time. I am Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, David Goss, Matt Doyle, Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert. What's up, boys? A little three-man booth in here over the weekend. Thank you for stepping in as I did many leisure activities. I heard that was under a lot of discussion. But to get Doyle going here, I just want to start with some compliments for you, Matt. I know how that builds you up.
He's so skeptical. He's
Newly back to the show. Mm-hmm. Matt in the Cream City. I'm glad the armchair analyst is back. Kept it simple, kept it direct.
I gotta Google Cream City.
Yeah, we've done this.
We've done this before. We think it's Milwaukee.
It is
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't you watch the Bucks? Like they have that on their alternate uniforms.
Yeah, okay.
Come on.
It's fine. It's the off season.
Look at that.
Future New York Knicks.
NBA
Giannis
reference
Antetokounmpo
already in here. Whoa. Played golf with a guy with a Bucks head cover the other day.
How do you hit him?
What is a head cover?
It goes on the top of his driver.
Oh, not on your body.
Yeah. He's from the Bronx, but just like Giannis.
Yeah, because he's coming to the Knicks.
Yeah.
Well,
Can we have more?
I thought you guys were getting Embiid.
Can we have more
but-
information about this guy that Wiebe played golf with?
I could give you a lot, but it was a wonderful chat.
How'd you hit him?
God, just wonderfully.
You're not going to give.
65% of the time.
Okay. did you register a score?
Sounded like you said,
did.
how'd you hit him?
83. Well, 38 on the back nine, so it was a good day for me. Renault, great show for the big comeback. You could see the quality of Doyle. Just stepping in, no delay, instant chemistry.
So I threw myself into the deep end. I made myself host, right? Because I wanted to be uncomfortable right from the start because I knew
That's
once
growth.
that happened, I would focus. I would lock in.
Very Klinsman of you.
Yeah. It was very what
Which
would
is
Jurgen
next level.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
World Cup winner.
I played left back.
Yeah.
Bobby Warshaw.
Um,
Taking wisdom from every
Domino.
corner of the extra time universe right now. And to really get you going here before we dig into Leagues Cup, round of 16, insanity, Lionel Messi, you already know. Daniel Russell, Doyle coming back, put a real damper on Leagues Cup. Overall, the entire competition from Daniel. The fun of the competition so far was immediately quashed by a guy who takes everything so seriously, refuses to have a good time with his co-host, and sounds like he doesn't even want to be there. Give Doyle his own podcast with Warshaw, Domino,
Oh, wow.
and they can gripe about specifics while other people can actually enjoy the game. Doyle doesn't sound like he's ever having fun. Bring back Tom. I enjoyed ETR more when Doyle was gone.
So this is no longer we're all a family. This is an and/or situation.
Well, I've
Tom
accomplished
or
50%
Doyle.
of his requests, which I think is very magnanimous of me.
That's
I've brought
true.
Tom back,
Yeah, but I'm still
but
here.
I've kept Doyle.
It's amazing because there's 47 teams in Leagues Cup, and Messi made his debut.
I ruined it
and you
all.
still ruined it. Yeah.
It's on you.
I haven't lost my
impressive.
touch, guys.
He's got his fastball.
off
He's
is
still
what I
got his
needed.
fastball.
All the compliments like, is Doyle on form? Is he ready to return? Oh, he is back, baby. And he is delivering. We are going to go through
The
our
classic Doyle banter section.
And hang
I
on,
love
can
the
we
banter.
just say that like when Wiebe started this with I'm going to say something nice to give you a compliment, Doyle recoiled as if like he just tasted something horrible, like he just had to put down medicine. He had the biggest smile on his face when you just read the "you ruined everything" bit.
It's all about being comfortable,
back.
even in moments of challenge. We are going to go through the craziest Leagues Cup moments so far, inspired by our guy Daniel Robertson on Twitter, worked for Dallas back in the day, Juventus, and still in the soccer space. We did a snake draft of absurd moments because this is extra time.
Tom's a degenerate.
And that's what we do.
Big fantasy
I
sports
thought
guy.
I was going to get first and fifth selection, but Tom stepped in. But first, as always, the best thing we saw in the round of 16, non-Miami Messi edition. Just got to put that out there. We are going to go all in on Miami because, of course, they're in the quarterfinals against Charlotte. And all those games we played on Friday on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. So check MLSsoccer.com or LeaguesCup.com for the listings if you want to figure that out or just tune in Friday night. Dave, you want to start? What tickled your fancy? Round of 16.
I had two big ones, so I have somewhat of a list.
Yeah.
So, so
Could you add a third? Is that
back-
possible?
I could actually add a lot more,
Okay.
but back up.
Open to it. All I'm saying.
Cook.
So I'm going to go geographically. So I'm going to start on the East Coast. And I'm going to start
Your
with...
bias, of course.
Yeah, I'm going to start with Philadelphia Union playing New York Red Bulls. 1 day delayed because of weather. 1-1 tie, and then penalty kick win by Philly. We've all watched this game for 5 straight years.
Well, I do my best not to.
Well, there you go. But for other ones of us, but it was fine. Jim Curtin then goes into his post-game press conference. His opening statement, not a question, not what did you think of this? And then he reacts. It was, Jim, the floor is yours. He starts with, the fans were great. We won because of the fans. Thank you. And then just goes straight into eviscerating the New York Red Bulls. He's like, Troy Lesesne's great. He deserves to be coach. He should be coach. Not talking about Troy. And then he proceeds to basically complain about the way all the players acted, people yelling off the bench, coaches yelling off the bench, and says things like, if you're 21st in the league and you haven't beaten us in 11 games over 5 years, maybe you shouldn't talk or do anything. And it went on. And it was just, it felt like Tom was coaching Philadelphia Union. It was a lot of energy.
Well, what was fun about it is after the NYCFC Red Bulls game in round of 32, it was John Tolkien who came out after the game in the post-game interview on Season Pass, and I think it was probably Steve Cangelosi talking to him, John Tolkien says, it feels good to beat these guys, meaning NYCFC. They talk a lot of trash, so we shut them up and we send them back across the river. So like, there's a real I-90
ecosystem in here.
Who would have thought
in the Northeast?
and between Philly and New York, nobody could shut their mouths, basically. It's the perfect press conference.
Did you want me
for
to do a
Philadelphia
dramatic
Union
reading?
coach.
Yeah,
real
I've got the
thing?
quotes.
Should we have you do it, or should we have Tom do it?
Well, like, I don't know if you want
Choose
to
your
go with all of
favorite,
them.
Tom. You do your favorite. Don't do the whole quote. I see all the.
No, I'm not
text
going to.
in
Don't worry.
front of you.
My two favorite ones were, I think, for a team.
Nope. That you were reading that. I need you to.
He wants you to
channel
he wants you to
Jim. I need you
embody.
to. You are in Philly right
Do I
now.
have to say stupid
Less-
things like Hoogie
Less,
or whatever the
less
Philly.
Seton Hall, more Villanova.
I like
Exactly.
I like that you were ready to make fun of the Philly accent because it is an atrocious accent.
When you're the little brother and you get beat up a lot, just know how to act. I think that was my
That's a
favorite
good
one.
one.
The other good one was.
But that's also. Come on. I mean, he is a little brother, isn't he?
Jim, I think
He's
Jim
the
is
older brother.
Older brother. Jeff
His
is
older
the
brother
younger
quote
yeah.
from him. But little brothers don't know how to act. That's the entire point of little
Yeah,
brothers. Is
that's
they always
correct.
come back to take more of a beating.
I think for a team and a group to be in 21st place, to
that's
talk
my lie.
and run their mouths as much as they do, to be beaten here 11 times in a row is something.
Which factually not true. It's
Like, this was technically a draw.
yeah, 8 wins and 3 draws I think in the last 11, but they haven't. Yeah, the Red Bulls haven't won in Philly since 2018.
And
I think.
2 of those were playoff games, and
yeah.
now Leagues Cup.
Yep,
Right,
one
'cause there was the
one was
Glesnes
an
goal.
incredible comeback, the Marco Fabian one, right?
Well, one was, I
my
think,
God.
The Lucas Sims playoff game.
that was the
What a reference.
2019.
That was
yeah,
2020.
yeah.
Yeah, 2019.
Because I think we did
Marco
a,
Fabian played in MLS in 2019.
well, didn't we do a rewatch of that with Brendan Aronson during 2020, or did it happen in 2020?
This is all a fever dream.
It was like
Time
it was
no
on.
idea.
I could picture it was on FS1, and it was like a 3-3 game.
Yeah.
and then Glesnes.
It was so.
had
It was a 2019 playoffs.
That was the
watched it from an
Glesnes
airport.
game.
Yep.
I would
No,
not.
The Glesnes game was after that.
the Glesnes game was
The
2020.
following year.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Glesnes game was the 120th minute because I was in the crowd because I love a Philly home game. I'll travel for any Philly home game.
It's a great stadium.
Pretty much always to Philly.
I'm thinking the Glesnes game might have been 21.
No, I think it was 20
Okay.
This is just.
because I think it was like the
Great.
Do
first.
we have any
Good
ideas? Do
segment
we have
there.
any ideas about who
Yeah.
Jim Curtin was? David does. I'm gonna tell a little story. This is maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
No, don't do that. Don't
know
out
what?
him. That's too much. Come on.
All right. Well, I'll just say that
Tease it though. You have to follow
has to
through.
be
Gosh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
David and Bobby Warshaw. This is Bobby's
Bobby's getting a
second
big
mention
show.
inside of 10 minutes.
He's got 3 mentions already.
Yeah, we're
None of them very
covering-
good so far. To be fair.
Covering GA Cup as they do every year, or as they did every year, and this
You might be right
yeah.
about the playoff game, by the way.
I think
Yeah.
I am right. Yeah. They were covering GA Cup and this one particular team featuring one future Red Bull player.
The West Ham Academy started a fight, and
The West
it was
Ham
the
Ac-
only American on the team that was one of the main protagonists. You could go research Americans that have played in West Ham's Academy if you want. I'm not going to be a part of that.
And David and Bobby especially were using words to
We were
describe
enamored.
the, I would say, outsized confidence level of the entire West Ham Academy side. But this one young man in particular
Knew where the buttons were.
knew where the buttons were, seems the type to maybe talk a little excess trash, even when he is not necessarily on the field.
But it also feels unlikely that
Really excellent player, by the
Yeah.
way. Like, fantastic player, I think, with a huge future. Maybe in podcasting and commentary as well.
It feels unlikely that Jim would be that upset about someone who's in that game for the first time.
That's fair.
But the other subs are Tom Barlow. I think probably not highest on the list.
Sweet Tom. I don't-
Yeah.
Looks like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Kyle Duncan. Lewis Morgan came on to just take a penalty and missed. So if it's Lewis Morgan that he's talking about, that is absurd. And then I think I'm missing one other.
Does this player share a brother who may or may not have
Drew Yearwood.
broken one of his best friends on an opposing team earlier
Yes.
this year?
Yes, he does. Yeah.
You guys, you two live in Jersey. You're getting done up. You guys are in dangerous territory right now. Bro, families stick together.
I'm new
They
to
know
it,
they
so-
can find you in Montclair, David.
Yeah.
Like they will find you.
Oh, I landed on my cough button.
Trying to
that's
protect-
where it
he's trying to
ended,
protect,
I'd
he's
be
trying
fine
to
with
protect
that.
himself. Hit the cough button.
Just name the press box after me.
Okay.
An MSU soccer park.
You had another one. This was the beginning of your list.
That was the beginning of my list. My second one was, well, now I'm confusing what we were supposed to do. And then my second one was that Minnesota United, after seeing Club America save Jack Mara's penalty kick and win the shootout, charged their fans for the next home game in which they're hosting Club America automatically, and then had to reissue the money back because 6 minutes later, turned out VAR was awake the whole time and that they were going to reshoot, and then the milkman obviously puts it home. Jonah Dos Santos chokes, and then who won it? Serge didn't win it. He had already scored.
no,
Bauer.
Daniel Lovitz. Daniel
Oh,
Lovitz.
Lovitz.
Oh, yeah. Daniel Lovitz, of
Yeah.
course, won it. Yeah.
Predictable.
Pennsylvania, baby. Yeah.
What's it gonna be for?
Yeah. So that was.
I hate Pennsylvania.
That's just.
That's a turn
to
of events for a lot of
I like
people.
to think that someone, and I don't think anyone should get in trouble for this, but I like to think that there's someone in the Minnesota ticketing office who did this and then went to sleep.
Oh, I don't
And
think
then
it was
woke up the
sleeping.
next
No.
morning and was like, what?
I think
We're
it was straight to
traveling?
the
Where are we
beer
traveling
hall
to?
at the end of the stadium. I think it was like, we got Club America at home. Oh boy, cha-ching!
Rounds are on me, boys. Rounds are on me.
Exactly. And then it was like, I mean, the confusion reigning supreme here because Club America is also confused.
Yeah.
The referees are confused. The security is clearly confused in Nashville. And then things change. That's going to be the best thing I saw. I mean, I was locked in. It was pure Leagues Cup. I mean, what we could maybe not dream about because I don't think I could even dream that. But Nashville are going to lose. Sam Surridge, the big lad,
Lad Boy Summer.
he's the
Can
big
we-
lad.
can we trademark that?
Yeah.
Lad Boy Summer.
Good lord.
The gaffer makes the gaffer makes a good decision. Sends on Surridge. Surridge scores the game-tying goal on a Michael Jordan-esque header. I mean, he rose. He was hang time supreme. Don't even know if he had to jump. Doesn't matter. It looked like he did. Scores it. Nashville go to PKs. The milkman misses, and here goes Malagone celebrating. Here come all the fans to get pictures onto the field. But as you said it, the VAR was locked in. Malagone clearly off the line. Club America fans got to explain it to you. If you're off the line, they're going to retake this thing. Senor Leche knows what to do. He goes right back to the same spot. Scores it. I mean, it was confusion. It was wonder. It was everything I hoped it could be.
Including the right call.
That too. That's
Malagone, I will say, he was off his line for every one of those penalties.
and he was off his line on the Lovitz one.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was like if Lovitz got saved, they would have just wound it
Retaken
back
it.
as well.
Well, it would have taken 5 minutes, so they all
And so,
laughed and then
Weeby, explain the rule because a lot of Club America fans I saw on social media thought that it was you have to have your foot on the ground touching the line, but that's not the rule. The rule is you have to be behind the line. Your foot could be in the air. Your foot does not have to be on the ground, but as long as your foot is on or behind the line.
Yeah, that's my understanding. It's essentially the same thing as like a plane that you would have on the sideline.
Right.
It's not like, hey, I have to be in contact with. It's where that location is, and he wasn't there. He was far ahead, and both of his feet were planted as well. All he needed to do was look across the aisle at an expert, an all-star, penalty saver, the best of the best, Elliot Panico. If you pull on a helmet, Wrap yourself in some knowledge here. Elliot Panico
this
is
is
the secret weapon of Nashville.
I'm pretty sure this is actually Kalen's favorite thing that he saw this weekend. Is that Elliot Panico? He still wears the concussion helmet even during when he's saving a penalty kick. It's not just for open play.
That's Nahu approved.
Right.
Everything you can do to get into an opposing penalty taker's head, you have to do. And this dude's wearing a helmet. Like,
I'm surprised Nahu didn't see this in one of the other games and is like, you know what? I can hide a lot of magic tricks in here. I'm gonna come in with a helmet, or like right before the
or
fourth
a top hat. If you're Nahu, just go top hat.
The fourth penalty taker's about to go. He's like, wait, guys, I got a headache. My head hurts. Like, give me a second. I need to go get my hat. I'm
Keeps
sorry.
his dove in the helmet.
Correct.
But part of the chaos of this whole thing was as this game's approaching the end of regulation, clearly Nashville's warming Panico up for the penalty kick shootout. Then they concede a penalty.
Yes.
And there clearly was a moment of, can we sub
Yeah.
Panico in? And they weren't allowed
There
to.
was a moment of panic.
Yeah, nice. Nice, Weeby. Nailed it. Do you think we should do a double goalie wars next year? A McCarthy versus Panico shootout competition parallel to goalie
I kind of like that idea.
I don't want any goalie wars or really anything in the All-Star weekend next year or anything Leagues Cup related that doesn't feature Nahuel Guzman.
I thought you were going to try and be the no fun guy.
Not gonna lie, they had me in the first half there.
Obviously, the big thing with Nahuel, which I think we'll touch on in a bit, is what he did in the round of 32 with the
Describe it for me. Paint me a picture.
Well, we talked about this on Saturday's show, which I know both
Pretend
David and
I didn't
Andrew-
see it, and I need to just.
Because we both listened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bo-
Yeah.
We both listened.
Penalty
But for
shootout
people who
against,
didn't listen.
against Vancouver. I think the second shot. Oh, first of all, with Nahuel, there's always going to be some amount of dramatics, and that includes in last year's All-Star skills challenge where he faked an injury during the finishing drill to
forgot
throw
about that.
Ricardo
It was so
Pepe
good. It
off.
was so good because Pepe
So good.
scored like 3 or 4 in a row, and then I was like,
It's muscle cramp. But he did. Was it on the second penalty?
I don't
where he's-
remember, but now it's
it's
this-
immaterial.
No, that is material. If he was doing the first penalty with the snake in his mouth, waiting for his moment,
Wow.
that is-
Right.
He went over
Andrew.
to the coach.
You don't really know if it's in his mouth or not.
Oh,
That's
that's
the
true.
magic.
So-
where
But
else would
where
it
the
be?
lighter fluid come from?
That's true.
So, and at one point during the shootout against Vancouver, he does pantomime where he's like staying like right as I think it was Ryan Gauld was taking the kick, like he's doing pantomime, and then he gets set and Gauld buries it. But then I think it was on the next one he puts his hand up like he needs to, hold on a second, arbitro, this whole profe, hold on, and he starts. And you think he's throwing up or something, suddenly he starts taking like balloon or like a bunch of tied balloons out of his mouth, like it's like a close
were
up Joe
handkerchiefs.
Bluth. Was it? Yeah, it's like a Joe Bluth, like Arrested Development style magic trick. It was ridiculous. This is one of the dumbest but most glorious things I've ever seen.
And that full video of him making the save, he not only made the save but held onto it and then walked away, just holding the ball under his arm. And like the Tigres put out the video because they had their social media person next to the goal, and it was like a minute and 20 seconds of just Nahuel Antic save walking away with the ball. It was perfect.
it's just
By the way,
brilliant show.
This snake or string of paper or cloth, it was very long.
Yeah.
Like it was not like,
Weeby,
oh, I got like a.
You're
it's like a
taking you're taking the kids to Cape Cod this weekend. You've been asking for stuff for like suggestions on what you could do. You could take those kids to see a little magic show like that because it's clear that you will be entranced and fooled as well.
Don't
Andrew's like, where did that nickel come from?
Oh my God! He chose my card.
I didn't
he
have a-
chose my card.
I didn't have a nickel in my ear. I checked.
We need Weeby to get into magic, and so by the time next season starts, he can start the show with
close,
magic.
But at most,
I've
we're
been
talking
to magic
boardwalk
shows
magic.
before. I am wowed. But
So-
then this is not the end of the story because there's last night.
There's last night, and so last night, look, all the games last night were big games. They were rivalries, or they were featured favorites, one way or the other. In the Classico Radio, this featured two favorites and what I think has been the best rivalry in North America the past 15 years: Monterrey versus Tigres. Monterrey were the better team from the jump. Like they put Tigres up against it from minute 1 to minute 30. About they were the only team on the field, and then Tigres came into it. Nahuel played great. They were they're a veteran team. They've won everything just about. They win these types of games. The Tigres does.
By the way, Tigres beat Monterrey last year in the Liguilla.
Exactly.
Monterrey just has not been able to get over the hump that is Tigres in Liga MX. They have done in CCL. But
Yeah. So Monterrey, the better team throughout. You figure Tigres, their veteran know-how will shine through at some point. And like maybe about the 85th minute, they had a decent looking attack that didn't come to much. Monterrey go down the other end through their 19-year-old academy product, and the academy products don't get on the field much for Monterrey. Bates Javier Aquino into a bad challenge in the box, 92nd minute penalty. It took a while for Ismail Elfath to decide that, yes, this actually was a penalty. He had to go to VAR. In process of going to the video review, Guido Pizarro picked up a yellow card for basically encroachment and trying to...
The Tata Martino Classic.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. The whole situation was like, oh yeah, this really is a derby game.
Arm around the ref. What are you watching?
Everybody was like insanely fired up for it. But it like, okay, in the end, it's a penalty. As soon as the penalty's called, Nahuel puts his hand up, saunters over to the Tigres bench, changes his gloves for no good reason, and then takes 3 steps away, and then goes back to the bench again and gets like some sort of tape taken off his mid. Walks back to, hold on a second, hold on. Profe, hold on. And then he has to get retaped, he gets icy hot put on, and finally he walks back to the...
This
But
reminds
not
me of,
before the Monterrey bench
Right.
says something offensive to him, so then he has to turn back around and start a fight.
This reminds me of trying to put a toddler to bed, basically, is what it is. I need water. I gotta have water. I need another hug. Like, what's going on? Like, oh, what are you watching on TV? I gotta check it out. Like, oh, let me just melt down and cry real quick. Oh, I'm okay now. No, we're good. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
having
But your
flashbacks.
kids don't have the balance to tightrope the goal line before the penalty like Nasser.
Certainly not the wherewithal.
No. He looked like he was a man on a high wire.
Yeah, it was spectacular, and went through all of that. There were a few more antics once he got back in goal, trying to just get into Sergio Canales' head. And by the way, this was Sergio Canales' debut as a starter.
Welcome to the Thunder.
And he said afterward, he's like, yeah, I knew all this was coming. I've seen Nahuel. I really admire him. I really like him. I knew exactly what he was doing. It was fine. Canales buries the penalty kick. Monterrey win 1-0. Completely
He
deserved.
also got crushed in the corner about 2 minutes after that.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, they went to the corner to try and waste the clock, and then the camera zoom went away, and then the camera came back, and he
he's
was
like,
still in the corner on the ground, and you were like,
Pieces of him.
man,
Yeah.
So welcome.
But anyway, Monterrey win. They deserved it.
Oh, hold on. We don't even have the Nahu at the final whistle.
That's what I was going to.
Oh.
Yeah. They win, then the final whistle happens, right? Or they win at the
Well, yeah,
final
in the
whistle.
order of operations here. Yeah, no, I got you. I picked it up.
And a small child runs onto the field. And this is not, and we were able to get this confirmed. This was not Nahuel's kid. This was just a child who ran onto the field. Nahuel picks this kid up and starts carrying him around the field with him, going to high five the Tigres players, or the Monterrey players, because like this was a pretty steamy. Like these two teams, it felt like a fight might have just about broken out. So Nahuel had himself a little human shield that he was bringing around with him.
An icebreaker. An icebreaker
Yeah,
to
get a
set
load
the
of this
tone.
kid. Get
Yeah.
a load of this
Have you
kid.
met my
He's really
friend?
happy.
What's your
He's
name?
literally-
bud?
Yeah.
First guy he handshakes, he's cracking up. Like he
they're all
thinks it's the
laughing.
funniest
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And he's like, look, I brought a kid, and how funny am I?
Yeah.
Like, and that just kills the whole mood. And now everyone's
You
on
are
board.
so funny, Nahu.
Yeah.
We really wanted to get at you before, but now, good to go. Ah, man. More Nahu. That's what we need. Just period. All right, Tom, I don't know how you follow that up, man.
Yeah, there's no way. I'll keep
Well,
it
we
shorter.
also just did 4 of the games in one.
No, so that's good because mine was a bit of a composite. The moment of chaos when all 3 8 p.m. Eastern games are going into penalties.
Yeah.
That was incredible, unreal to try. That was great when you have multiple screens. I was watching with our guy Stefano Stefano, he was going crazy.
Classic
We're all
HR
going crazy. I
mistake
called
there.
myself.
Yeah.
We were going crazy. It's like, so then, oh no, like the Tigres game started. So when the Club America National game thought it ended, all right, scramble to change around the TVs, which game goes where, get this. And then like we were getting texts like, what the hell's going on in Nashville? I was like, America won like 5 minutes ago. What are you talking about? I was like, no, turn it back on. Like they're shooting again. And I was like, what? Like it was just out of control and just unreal. It was just, what a night.
We were walking down from. I was on the shows last night with Jill and Phil Neville, and we were walking.
Jill and Phil. There's
Jill and
something
Phil.
there.
Yeah, we finished. We finished the pregame for it would have been the
LAFC.
LAFC, and we said okay, and Club America are through. Who do we? Because then they're going to play Minnesota. Do we think
Buy your
Minnesota
tickets
has a chance? And we're like, well, we did a really good show, really great work. Getting the highlights in there and everything. It's a shame that Nashville had a chance, but Club America, they're a big club. I think we expected. Take your gear off and you head down because it's the last preview show of the night. We got 2 hours before we got to be, and like between being in the big studio and walking down to the basement TV room where we watch everything, my phone starts blowing up and it's David and it's Weeby, and I think Anders was actually like watching it on the
Mid-flight to
plane.
Norway.
As he's saying, I'm not going to work.
Yeah. Well, it's
But-
not work when you love it.
So Nate Bukaty was calling the game on FS1 with Tony Miola, and he was like telling us after the game, he's like, I don't know. He was calling the Rayados game, the Monterrey Tigres, and he's like, I don't know what happened. Like, and then I got a notification that, oh, actually Nashville won. So he's like, I said that on the broadcast, and then he's like, I got like a little elbow from Miola in my rib cage, and like he pointed at his computer. It's like, no, America won, and he's like, like did I just say something wrong over the air? So this guy's like calling a game. He's got a screen up at the bottom and like trying to update viewers on like, oh, this game ended, and he's got Miola giving him a big forearm to the rib cage. That's tough.
We're also leaving out here, which is I had only 2 screens, so I had turned the Minnesota game off at
Same.
2-0. And I was like, I'm probably going to wake up and watch that game tomorrow anyway so that I can like fully watch it. I didn't even know they were in penalties until everyone was like 3 games at the same time. And at some point I was like, 3 games? What's the third game?
By the way, more on that in a second in our snake draft of the craziest Leagues Cup moments, because Dane St. Clair has been watching now.
I'll trade you 2 picks.
Yeah, I gotta go back and look see how that worked out.
I'll trade
for
you
me.
my 3rd and 4th
Yeah.
round picks for your second
I was like,
round pick.
idiot! I just won that trade. All right, let's get to our ranking of the craziest League Cup moments. We're gonna hit all the round of 16 games as we preview the quarterfinals, and we have some free agents from the list the Players Union put out, plus a bunch of mail coming soon. We're having a good time on this show, though. So
Am
let's
I?
just,
No, I'm not having a good.
let's
time.
just keep it. No,
You
no.
ruined it.
No, I want to give Daniel his. No,
This is no.
I'm
no.
not. I'm not ever having fun.
Okay, but this is fun. The number 1 overall pick of the craziest Leagues Cup moments went to me because I am your high priest of the Leagues Cup. It's got to be the raccoon falling through the ceiling in the RSL press box and then attempting to break into a popcorn machine. I don't know how you top raccoon falling through a ceiling as a general, that's just a concept.
It's incredible, but I feel like the Nahu stuff is.
I disagree. I think that this is such a clear number 1. It's like the LeBron draft or like the Victor Wembanyama draft. It's like, all right, that's the one
a
pick, and then
raccoon
we can
fell
debate.
like Nahu has been doing this
It's
for
Philip
years.
Mayaka. It's a no-brainer number 1 pick that
Were you
everyone's
struggling? You
watching.
trying to figure out what the best name was going to be there for the
I
number
was
1 pick?
thinking through it, and I was like,
He went third.
I was like, I could go serious,
Philip
or I could
Miyako
not.
was
There's a lot to
third.
unpack here. 1, you went to Philip Miyaka. 2, you knew he went third. It's just a lot to
Well,
unpack.
Colorado traded up because it was a
I
no-brainer.
mean, it's multiple things. It's 1, the raccoon falling through the ceiling as a thing. 2, that there's a popcorn machine right there for the raccoon, and the raccoon's not like, I'm terrified, panic, run away. It's like popcorn. Check
Well,
that out. Like,
RSL, everyone knows, are one of the most animal-friendly clubs.
Yep.
They've got cats.
They got ducks.
They've got ducks. Yeah.
Ducks.
Wow, they are the most animal-friendly
It's
club.
almost like Tom and I covered this on Saturday's show. I don't
The
know.
other thing I think that's elite.
Which you loved. Saturday's show.
That show
we're
was-
just reheating your content.
Well,
That's
it's for
all.
the other people who didn't
Leftovers.
listen. Is that when DC United came as the worst team in Open Cup winning history, and Lewis Neal scored that goal 10 years ago, they left the raccoon eggs, and then 9 years
Oh,
later,
yeah.
Yes.
they were ready like Jurassic Park
They hatched.
And
to,
it's- yeah.
to hatch.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
So
and
this was a little DC United infiltrator. is
Yeah,
what you're
exactly.
It's
I
a
mean,
little
who
bit
else
like-
in MLS is They've got the market. They've got the homegrown market on.
Was that
raccoon.
the Leon game that it happened in a postpone? It was
Wait, with the
no,
cat?
no, with the raccoon. It was Leon, right?
What are you?
The guy.
It was.
Oh, you're talking
it
about
was
leaks
Leon
now.
game.
Yeah.
It was the one. Yeah, it got postponed, and what actually happened, which you may have heard about on the previous episode of Extra Time, Jaime was on the phone with Dunny in the press box, like
When it
talking
fell.
to Dunny when it fell. So all of a sudden, Dunny is giving play-by-play in Spanish of this little baby raccoon tearing through the press box. Absolutely fantastic. It was electric just
good.
listening to it on speakerphone in the bullpen down here.
Okay, so let's just go in order of our draft picks. So, what was your first overall draft pick here on Insanity?
I went with
Your first pick, the number 2 overall
Correct.
on the
number
correct,
2 overall
yeah.
pick.
No,
from-
not quite to the Philip Mayaka.
from the University of
pick.
Maryland. Go Terps. I picked Dane St. Clair. First, he has a lot. So I get all of them because you took the Nahu stuff. First, he told Shaqiri he had no jueves.
Marbles.
Huevos.
Why are we allowed? I got halfway through that one.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, I don't think I can say that.
Yeah.
Just
Which
beat the eggs.
one, which Shaqiri specifically is bold, 2 in general is bold.
Yeah.
But it is just an example. It's the tip of the iceberg, which is Dane St. Clair is CONCACAF.
Yeah.
He pulled a bunch of other stuff this game, including, do you have this confirmed?
Multiple Minnesota United fans who were in the stadium and witnessed this. Look, I don't know if I can
Sauces?
say this is not maybe my sources tell me, people on Twitter tweeting at me, that Volpe had a water bottle cheat sheet for the shootout. Dane St.
he
Clair
launched
saw him going over to it and looking at it. And when Volpe went to go do his thing in goal, Dane St. Clair went over, grabbed it, and chucked it in the stands.
Yep.
And then
Classic.
Volpe tried to go get it. You lost your cheat sheet, bro. Like, it's gone. You cannot get it back.
There's one Minnesota United fan in the Wonderwall going like, he's going right. He's going right.
I mean,
75% of the time he goes right.
I think Dane needs to be on first name basis like Nahu. I think it's just Dane.
Yeah. Well, and then even Toluca's first goal, he grabs the ball. He wasted 3.5 minutes from the moment that ball hit the net to the moment it re-kicked. Killed all momentum. The ref's clearing everyone out. He's just walking behind the ref with
I just
the
want to
ball.
point out he did not kill momentum because
Yeah,
it
fair, they
was
scored.
all
And
one direction.
Can we
at that
also
point.
point out that Shaqiri scored after he was told he had no
Dude,
marbles?
facts don't matter. Relax. What is stats guy over
But
here?
Shaqiri didn't Panenka, so you can still question it.
Is that the victory?
I don't know. I don't know what Dane was trying to get him to
Raise
do.
the banner.
All
What's
I know
your point
is
in saying
Dane
no
St.
marbles?
Clair. Dane St. Clair is in the quarterfinals, hosting Club America, and Shaqiri's at home.
He is.
All right.
Cool.
So that was my next one.
I was just say, Dane versus Panico is
I think
Classic
Sam
matchup.
Surridge's goal, by the way, is like the top moment, but it was already taken.
My first draft pick was the Nahu stuff. I'm just completely enamored of it. Specifically, like the stuff last night against Monterey, that was like pretty typical time wasting, other than the glove change, which is, it still gets me. But like the close magic against Vancouver.
The magic will never get old. Who should sign Nahu in MLS? What team would he be best served playing goalkeeper for? And how is it not DC United?
Orlando. It's like an Orlando City player.
I don't know.
We need Nahu to have to come out of his goal all the time.
Yeah.
We need Nahu to be Wayne Rooney's goalkeeper.
Oh, you're benching all-star goalkeeper Tyler
I'm
Miller.
not benching anyone, but
Bold.
Alex Bono got the Leagues Cup calls. I'm just saying.
What about the Revs after they sell Georgi Petrovic?
They
I
do
don't
like a
care who it
PK
is.
specialist.
Yeah,
Do you like veterans?
Yeah.
I don't care who it is.
All right.
We'll make it a retirement league for Nahu.
Tom, on to you.
My first round pick was Alan Pulido headbutt, meaning that he misses the Chivas game, which, again, there's all these rumors every time he plays well that he's going to go back to Chivas. So it was particularly hurtful that was a game he was suspended for. But not just that, but that he popped up on Instagram in Las Vegas like a day later, like while suspended. And it's like, I don't know, there's always the rumors around Neymar when he would happen to be hurt whenever it was his sister's birthday in February or whatever. It's like, I don't know. It's like Pulido, like, how quickly did you buy those tickets, bro? What were you
When the-
thinking in advance?
We don't. This is pure speculation. When the Leagues Cup schedule comes out, Alan's like, "Ah, you kidding me? I already had plans." Like, man, this is tough.
I just think it's a funny coincidence that Alan Pulido gets suspended. He's in Vegas. Now, Weeby can't come in for a Saturday show, but he's golfing. It just feels like 1-to-1 to me.
There's a lot there, and I'm in the Cape.
And then
this
Willie
week.
Agata,
no.
and then Willie Agata over here steps in and hosts the
Finally.
show.
It was actually really nice to see Willie Agata looking healthy, putting the ball in the back of the net.
When you came back, he came back.
8 goals in the final 10 games. That's what I'm seeing from Willie Agata.
But hold on.
Doyle's been in the lab with Willie for months, just working on their game.
The other wrinkle to this, the Saturday stuff, he's been talking since he came down to Asbury Park, and we had a little bit of a beach day. We hung out a little bit and was like, yeah, bro, I'm going to come down. Can't wait. Like, I'll go to your beach. We'll use your parking spot. And then it's like, oh, Weeby's at the beach when the one day I'm going back up into the city. Like, that's a coincidence.
There's only
Really?
enough room in Asbury Park for the one of you.
Exactly. Okay, we made a draft pick for Kalen Carr as well.
Yeah, for Kalen Carr, it is that Lionel Messi, the greatest soccer player of all time, some would say, I think in our language we always have to say arguably, is tied for the Golden Boot lead in Leagues Cup, this massive competition with some of the best players in the world, with Bongi. It is
One
just
name,
Kalen's
Messi,
perfect day.
Bongi. One name references in deny.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time Bongi's done with this tournament, he's going to be a one-name player. It's
Dude,
fantastic.
this dude is the goal he scored against Toluca. He cut like 3 dudes, cut it back, left-footed.
Incredible team goal.
I mean,
though.
yeah, the whole thing is unbelievable. But last year, could you have ever seen, imagined, in even your wildest mind's eye, Bongi doing that?
Yes.
Really, last year?
Yeah. You could see the talent.
I could see it too, but he hadn't done it.
Yeah, but that's why you imagine it. That's why.
Okay.
That's why.
Sure, your imagination is powerful.
Doyle, we're
Weeby,
hitting
this is
around,
how imagination works.
hitting around a beach ball, and Doyle just catches it, and pops it, and walks away.
No, I hit it back.
Like, don't you guys
asked me
love?
a question? I
don't
said,
you?
yes, I could
Don't you love
imagine it.
beach volleyball? Spikes it into my face.
So I hit it back.
Okay, back to my choice here. We're staying in Minnesota. I'm taking Michael Boxall.
We're not going snake.
Oh, yeah, you're right. God, I forgot about the snakes.
So Kalen's up next.
Yeah, Kalen's up next.
Kalen's in.
For when he didn't choose. Tuca Ferretti fired for the first time in his entire career from
Because
Cruz
of
Azul
Leagues
because of Leagues Cup
It
results.
has always mattered. It always will matter.
Don't tell me this
This is
tournament
football edited.
is and the honor's not here to hit play on that one. There was a video of Tuca leaving the Cruz Azul offices, like stereotypically with a box of his stuff.
Just his nameplates.
Just the first time he's the legend Tuca. Unbelievable. All right, snake us back.
I'm going to take the Nkosi Tafare quote on,
Yes.
on local news before Dallas played Miami. And Nkosi got asked about Messi and Miami, and he ends his interview by saying, yeah, I'm really only being interviewed for the aspect of who Messi is. I'm not being interviewed because you actually care for who I am. And that's fair. Full credit to the news report keeping that in. They could have cut that,
Yeah.
but they kept it.
Oh,
and I
you
respect the
don't
hell out of that.
ever cut that quote.
And Nkosi, this is also just straight in line with Nkosi
Oh, yeah.
Tafare. First time I talked to him, I was like, well, do you want to coach after you play? He's like, I don't know. Maybe I'll go be an actor or an artist. I think his dad's a chef. Like, he's got all interests, and he's just casual about everything. And this is right online, and it was epic.
You know, they show, the pre-shot of players walking in from the parking lot, and like a lot of times guys are just, it's like business casual-esque. It's not particularly impressive. You're like, oh, yeah, you have a polo and, all white sneakers
Not
and some
Will
dress
Trapp.
pants. Not Nkosi. He does not play around with his fits.
No. He's
I
good.
believe he wore pink loafers with the chunky sole. And I mean, you just have to go. I can't describe to you his fit from the Miami game. He
Sounds
was
like you can describe it.
okay. He got the assignment. The man can dress. All right, Doyle.
I don't remember. What did I?
You don't watch games, you just watch PK shootouts.
Correct. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the fact that
As long
I
as
mean
the
we're
game.
going we're going through the whole Leagues Cup. So yeah, Vancouver and
Opening night, I think.
was it opening?
I think it was the
think
first
it
night
was.
of play.
Leon and Vancouver going 19 rounds in a penalty shootout that Leon eventually won 16-15 or was it 17?
16-15, I believe.
16-15. That's the longest penalty shootout I think any MLS team has ever been a part of. Luis Martins was a very good player. He missed twice in the same shootout, which I had never seen before. Of course, Rafael Chijos from the Chicago Fire.
Ben missed twice. I forgot.
Like 3 or 4 days later, he missed twice in the same shootout as well. But like this was insane. It was opening night because Messi stole the thunder that night with his winner of a free kick. But like you could tell from night one that Leagues Cup was going to be incredible.
Mine is Kalen related because he's not here, which is Cincinnati and Chivas, their game being delayed 12 hours once it's already being played, up 2-0 for Cincinnati, up a man.
With Brandon Vasquez scoring it, and to go back to the Chivas transfer rumor mill. Sorry.
No, I was letting you cook.
No, I was done cooking. I just a little,
Just an appetizer.
I was like, would you like some paprika?
Just an amuse-bouche.
Yeah.
And then the next day we had to do previews for the SKC Chivas game. So I made Kalen record 3 of whatever could happen. And Kalen, we walk out and he goes, that was absurd, man. They're down 2-0, down a man with 30 minutes to go. And then Chivas in an empty stadium the next day scores off the throw-in to restart play and make it 2-1. And I wasn't even in the room. And I had to come back in to yell at Kalen, but then they lost. But everything about that was epic. And it was in the same, I think it was the same 24 hours where Seattle needed to beat Monterrey exactly 3-0 for that group to go to fair play. And Seattle got out to a 2-0 lead in 6 minutes. And I texted the group all caps, Kalen, I told you. And then I lost both those.
And somehow it snakes around to me for this one. I thought this was going to be a very high draft pick, and I'm left with 2 incredible selections. Michael Boxall, you might remember back in the group stage against Puebla. He kidney punched a Puebla player. I did not know. I just straight up punched the dude in the back, like full on, cocked it back, let him go with the body blow, and got sent off 30 minutes into the game. Turns out the reason he did that, somebody got a little handsy with him somebody got handsy with him. I don't want to go further than that. You can go read his quotes. He's very direct
in the
about what
Crown
happened.
Legacy FC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fallback. Domino.
So yes, exactly that. Just the whole sequence of that, and then the Loons were down a man and won 4-0 against Puebla. This tournament has been absolutely off the rails in the most entertaining way. And let's dive into what surely is more chaos to come. Round of 16, we'll start with the man himself, Lionel Messi. In Frisco, where he was destined to be a legend.
Same place Enzo Fernandez made his name. They said if you're connected to this World Cup team, you have to make your name in Frisco.
How many,
I think it was 3 World Cups.
Julian Alvarez.
Julian Alvarez, and then Piero Hincapié for Ecuador also. And every U.S. player.
Boy, what'd you think of this one? 4-4. How did you experience it?
Giggling.
2 penalties.
Giggling for the most part.
I don't know if I've ever... I can't think... And there's been many MLS After Dark absurdities over the years, but I don't know that any match I've seen tops this one.
Well,
just for...
There's a lot of Goonies games out there, so
I know, but this was like
stamp your
this was
name
like
on it.
Goonies.
It's probably like El Tráfico is probably the closest stuff of like just, LAFC playing across the back line for Galaxy goals to give up leads and stuff.
I don't know. I can't remember something more spellbinding than this game. The own goals.
The own goals were...
I mean, Robert Taylor's just reaction to his own goal.
That
was,
is the best own goal I've ever seen.
The Marco Farfan one?
No.
The Taylor one.
The 60-yard run and then like the pace on the ball being so slow.
Yeah.
Where we're all just like waiting to see it.
and so
Also,
is he.
Dallas had blown a break.
Yeah.
They were like 4-on-2.
Yep.
And they pulled up and blew the opportunity, and then Robert Taylor comes sliding in.
I will use the gif of Robert Taylor. The what the forever and ever and ever. Drake Callender looked like he was frozen in place.
Yep.
He just looked like he had no. He's like, where did Robert Taylor come from? Why is the ball dribbling over my line? And then Marco Farfan was like, I see that, and I raise you the most powerful own goal header I've ever seen in my life. I mean, like the whole neck snap, like just drove it into his own net to start the comeback.
What did we think he was trying to do with that?
I'm very confused.
Because the Robert Taylor one is obvious, right? Like
Yes.
that is just like wrong-footed bad luck, charging towards his own goal.
It feels like Farfan coming back to his own goal. The way
he didn't
I saw
see
it
it.
is he reaches out for it as if he realizes it's getting past the first line and he can't let it get past him
Right.
to the far post. So he stretches for it. And then the only direction it's going to go once he stretches for it is in the thing in front
Right.
of him.
I thought he didn't see it that well because it is coming sort of over the top of other people, and he's thinking like, "Oh, I'm gonna," and then his just head is in the wrong spot, and it just so happens it's in the perfect spot for the wrong result.
Marco Farfan's one of the few players in the world who has scored off a Messi assist. It's kind of one of those things that two truths and a lie people with.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how over the years that story will develop in his own life. Very curious to see for him. Messi free kicks automatic. Messi moving the ball into
Okay.
the ideal spot while the referee is
Yeah, slowly creeping it.
like 5 different times picks it up, the little spin, do, and then one of the most perfect free kicks that you can imagine. Doyle. What else? What else from this game?
Just the way Miami play, the way they set up, lends itself to this. In part, obviously, because they have the greatest player who's ever played soccer.
Arguably.
No, it's not arguable. I'm sorry. But also, Tata's one of the few coaches left who throws both fullbacks forward at the same time. So you'll get DeAndre Yedlin bombing up the right side, and Jordi Alba, of course, is never going to sit back on the left side. Kamal Miller is a center back. He spent more time in the attacking third tonight than some center backs do their entire season, or that night. Anytime he gets his foot on the ball and he gets a chance to carry the ball into midfield or beyond, he will do so. Sergio Busquets is amazing, and you can see his quality every time he's on the ball and when he's dictating play and when there's good tempo to the game. When the tempo breaks down and he has to chase, there's not a lot that is going to stop opposing teams in front of the center back pairing. And again, one of those center backs might be gone. All the number 8s on Miami run around with their chickens with their heads cut off. Like, they have to cover so much damn ground. And their rotations have been really good, but they're all defending for at least 1.5, if not 2 people.
Yeah, because Joseph can't press.
Joseph doesn't
Also.
press, right? And Taylor's great. Taylor has been fantastic, but he is his job is to run through the lines.
Yeah.
So he is spending half his time kind of out of position. So there's not any defense happening from the front line. It is set up to be complete, wonderful, glorious chaos every single time. It's just great.
Doyle, so in your mind, would it make more sense for them to have, a little bit more stability? Like when Aviles gets here and can play again, he's a $7 million signing, 19-year-old center back. Would a 3-4-2-1 make any sense to you? So you can have Yedlin and Alba going forward as much as they are, but having one more center back. So you lose a center mid next to Busquets, but still you just have somebody destroying next to Busquets and then 3 center backs? Or do you think that they're better as is?
I'll
right
say
now?
this. We can all remember that 2018, that great Atlanta United team that spent their entire year playing a 4-3-3, a lot of really excellent two-way players. And when it came time to win MLS Cup, it was a 3-4-2-1.
Yep.
It was more structured, more geared towards playing on the break. And I think they were a 60-65% possession team during the year. And then in the playoffs, they were down around 45%. I don't think it's
gave up 2 goals in that run or something crazy.
yeah. I don't think it's going to happen exactly like that with Miami. I think that they will be more trusting of their shape with the ball and their ability to use possession to affect where they lose possession, which matters a lot. And their rest defense will be, I don't want to say better, but the rest defense will be good enough. But it wouldn't shock me if in certain games we saw a 3-4-2-1 for the reasons that we've been delineating and for the reasons that Tata went to it in 2018.
Speaking of legends from Frisco, I'm assuming Benjamin Kromoski was a GA Cup
MLS
legend.
No, he
didn't.
played at Weston's Academy,
Ah,
but he won MLS Next Cup playing up an age group and was MVP of that tournament. Then he joined Inter Miami's academy.
and now look what he's doing.
Yeah, it's unreal. I mean, that was 2021, I want to say.
The goal he scores opens his body, the right foot, just from Jordi Alba. off of Messi, second assist. I don't know if those are counting in this tournament. I honestly am confused about that. And then the game-winning PK, I've said it multiple times. I just can only imagine, like we talk about our group chat on this show. Imagine his group chats.
Yeah.
Imagine his life and just the speed with which it changed. It had already gone fast forward. Hey, you're a professional now. You're starting games for Inter Miami. Look at that. You're a teenager.
And
now
you're
playing with
Argentine.
Messi. Right.
So, like, you play with your hero, and everyone's hero is Messi. I think we're at a different level there. And then, like you said, then he has the moment where he stepped up, and I've been talking to you guys about him for 2 years because I think he's great. That doesn't mean I have him shoot the 5th shot of a penalty kick shootout in front of the world because MLS season pass, not Geo.
Good ad.
So, like, that was a huge moment, and he banged it in, and then Tata said after, he was like, yeah, he said he was fine with it. So I was fine with it, and you're like, this is... But that's the type of things we talk about this sometimes, but, like, when Tata Martino tells him, you can do this, the self-belief that you can do it is on a different level because a guy like Messi and Tata believe in you.
Yeah, it's just a step below if Wilfred said it, but it's still really
Yeah,
powerful.
obviously.
And that's how Weeby starts every show. But before we walk in here, he pulls me aside and says, I believe in you. You can do this. Nobody else believes in you. I know
Actually, that's not true. I waited for him outside the bathroom and tried to scare him.
after you accidentally scared me.
Yeah.
You got into
Yeah,
a
yeah, that
zone.
gave. Yeah, I forgot. That's why I had that idea. I was like, why am I sitting out here trying to scare Tom?
It was epic. That whole thing is so cool. Just his, like you said, his life experience. I think he picked up 50,000 followers on Instagram after he hit the PK. Not too bad as well for a teenager. And this is sort of what this like experience can be, which is like now all these people are rubbing shoulders and living in this world. That's a little bit different than what it was.
And it goes the other way too. It's not just teammates, obviously. It's Bernie Kamungo having an opportunity on this huge stage to
goal
play
that
against
was.
Messi and to, you're talking about Kamal Miller.
Yeah.
Kamal was thinking about a lot of things that weren't defending in that moment against Bernie Kamungo, who just left him rooted in the ground. But his story is maybe the best story on the entire field of a Tanzanian refugee whose brother, signs him up for an open tryout with North Texas, which he makes, then scores a boatload of goals, and now is a critical part of this FC Dallas team scoring against Lionel Messi in front of a sold-out crowd. There's just you can't make some of this stuff up. I mean, it's the whole team. Like FC Dallas played out of their minds. Nico Estevez said afterwards, this is a level that we have to aspire to. It's like 10, 15% higher than we show. I mean, Facundo Quignon scored.
Banger too.
That was a great goal.
And to Doyle's point about the way it's set up is like the only mistake Dallas made was not scoring a 5th. They were not going to really get out of this game giving up less than 3 goals.
And that was Jesus Ferreira had
They should have scored a
moments.
5th, yeah. But that was the only other way they were going to finish this off. There wasn't really I can't believe they broke down defensively and gave up those set pieces.
The other one was, just in the penalty shootout. Tough one from Paxton Pomykal. Tried to fire his PK through the National Soccer Hall of Fame straight into an exhibit. I mean, he
that
left
one
both.
reached orbit.
He left both feet on that one. It was a tough moment. Hate to see it.
Beckham-esque.
Eddie Johnson-esque.
Yeah.
Who did it last year? Did we have one of those in MLS Cup? Skied? I don't know.
And Gazdags was up there, but it wasn't like that.
It wasn't Ilie Sanchez's because Ilie knew what Sean John knew. So he went the other way. Sorry, I don't know.
Didn't hesitate.
Yeah. Sorry, Andre Blake. Because there's 2 commercials.
Yeah, if there was any audience that's just nod knowingly right after that reference, it's going to be this
This is
one.
how we work and this is how we play.
We do need to give some credit, though, to 2, maybe 3 people, Dave, for all these Miami home games in Leagues Cup, which are based on the 2022 MLS standings. Who would that be?
Alejandro Pozuelo, Gonzalo Higuain, and I'm going to throw Amy Mabika in there because
Okay.
he was huge. Damian Lowe actually is probably the one who deserves it. But if you remember, Miami was one of the worst teams in MLS last year. They traded for Alejandro Pozuelo in the opening of the summer window because TFC had too many DPs and they had to give him away. And with Pozuelo in the team, they were one of the best teams in Major League Soccer over the course of the run into the playoffs. That allowed them to be a higher seed this year because Leagues Cup higher seeds are based off last year's standings. Otherwise, they would not have hosted Atlanta. They definitely wouldn't have hosted Charlotte because Charlotte was the last team out, I believe. So they would not be hosting this game. So the potential could have been that Messi would have played 1 home game, and now they get to play 3 at a minimum. And if Querétaro wins, it could be a 4th. And all of that is because of the work they did at the end of last year where they went from one of the worst teams in the league, a mess defensively, no possession, to high possession team under Pozuelo, and we're arguably one of the most entertaining teams to watch.
Inter Miami Charlotte quarterfinals, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Friday. MLS Season Pass, hour-long pregame show, all the trimmings. Lionel Messi in a knockout round game. This Inter Miami team
versus Patrick Agyemang.
Let's get to Patrick Agyemang and Charlotte, repping the colors of the day. This is my legacy for the crown. All right. Look, the Dynamo gave it away. Let's not act like Charlotte came out. Wait, give me that face.
You give up a goal on a ball over the top, and then you play it into your own net on the kickoff. That's not giving it away. That's taken from you.
Well, look. We got to give credit to our guy.
I didn't
Pat
even
Agyemang.
know the second goal, how it happened. And I was texting in the group about Agyemang the moment he came on because I'm a big fan.
Forrest
And then
Swiderski, by the way, who was not happy to be
No, he
taken
was
off.
not. And by the way, are we getting back to the point of like play both of them together, find a way, especially against Miami, where the space is down the middle. Like if you are going to score goals, you need Swiderski.
I don't think at any point this season Charlotte have looked as good as they did last year when Swiderski was playing as kind of a second forward underneath Daniel Rios. And you could do that very easily. Double pivot behind Swiderski, Agyemang up top.
And you have no Capetti.
And you have no Capetti at this point, though he is working his way back. But that's fine. You want depth at the number 9.
It would make a lot of sense
It
for
means
Miami,
you have
too.
to sit one of Ashley Westwood, Scott Arfield, or Brant Bronico. Like, I feel like you could sacrifice one.
And the guy that they just signed
Diakra,
is,
like they signed him to
Say
be a
that
starter
again?
as well. Diakra.
yeah, there's like a guttural moment in that name that I'm
Gabriel,
struggling
yeah.
with. I gotta work on that one. I'm just gonna call him Brecht.
Yeah, I like that too.
In
It's a
a,
good name.
you know,
Brecht Bron.
Brecht. There's a lot of Brechts. Brecht. Brecht. Diakhe. Is that?
Diakhe.
I gotta work. I got some work to do on that one. Poor Mikhail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
You probably should not hit a powerful skipping pass inside your goalposts back to a goalkeeper not prepared for it. I'm thinking Steve Clark is probably in that moment still a little bit on tilt from the moment that happened just before when he tried to come out of his own net and Agyemang just like walked it around him to score.
I think you're also in the convo in that moment of like, are we pushing? Are we like it's 1-1 going to penalties? And I think there's probably more going on than just paying attention to a casual kickoff that shouldn't really matter.
Right. Either way, no matter what, that back pass was completely unexpected. Found the bottom corner perfectly, and the Houston Dynamo lose, which is just so painful for them. They had been 5 for 5 in elimination games prior to that this year with the Open Cup, which they're in the semifinals of, and then Leagues Cup, but pretty tough. Pretty tough. Beautiful goal from them, though. They created very little. The story was going to be that Charlotte blew their chances because they had created actually a decent number of big chances, just hadn't finished them. Kerwin Vargas probably the main offender on that one. But Quinones on the left wing gets in behind, is decisive, chooses the right ball. Corey Baird, the legend, 8th goal all comps, bangs it to the back post. You thought Houston were going to do it, but they didn't. So let's talk about the matchup for Charlotte now. Let's just push it ahead. Charlotte Inter Miami. I said on the wrap-up, I thought this was a terrible matchup for Charlotte, and they had no chance of winning this game. Was I harsh?
No.
No chance is harsh. Like you've been around long enough that crazy things, stupid things happen.
Yeah,
I mean, Kamal Miller got buried by Bernard.
that's fair.
Kamunga, so it's out there. The issue for Charlotte.
Kamungo would be the best winger on that Charlotte team.
That's what
by
I was about to
some
say, which is the
margin.
huge issue, which is the things Miami leaves open. Charlotte does not have the players.
They don't
to
have the
take
pace
advantage
that Dallas had.
Yep.
Whether it be Ferreira, who used that to great effect, or Kamungo, who's obviously, as we saw in the goal, did as well. I don't think they don't have the same experience on the back line. Like FC Dallas defensively and in goal is far superior to Charlotte.
Yep.
I just don't.
Quignon.
And their midfield doesn't get pressure to the ball.
of. Yeah, it's a bad matchup.
That's not a good recipe.
It would be more interesting again if you pulled Swiderski off that front line to let him create, because I think the way he moves, the things he does well, he's not like a pure 1v1 chance creator. It's just he's efficient in his movement. He's good on the half turn. He kind of can shake defenders. All that stuff will work in the open space that Miami allows, but he needs someone, if he's not on the end of things, he needs someone to set up. And the way this lineup's built, I wouldn't be shocked if Justin Miram starts this game because like he's closer to a finisher than the other two guys. we're talking about, but Nathan Burns suspended.
That's tough.
So now you're down one. They did sign a left back.
But I don't think he's going to be available. Right? I heard he wasn't going to be available for Visa.
Crown Legacy, top team in MLS Next Pro, so everyone could step up.
So here's what do you do if you're Charlotte with burnout? You don't have they just cut Joseph Mora. Do you move Jalen Lindsay to left back and then maybe Adelson Milanda plays right back and you push in?
Well, you have Harrison Awful.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I guess
you
you
put,
push
I think you
Awful
put
in.
Harrison Awful there, right?
I mean, I would start Derek Jones and play a back five as well because center backs have been a mess. This is going to be a 9-goal game.
They're way down the depth chart.
This one could end 6-3.
Credit to Andrew Prevet, who I didn't know who that was, and I pride myself on knowing all the Andrews in the league. But
I've never heard you say that.
I haven't ever said that. But it has been tough for the Andrews lately.
It just
Andrew
came
Prevet.
out. It was
I was looking Doyle right in the eye, and I was like, what am I going to say to just try to get Doyle
That was so good.
to laugh here? Anyway, I didn't even know who he was. He's the 3rd-round draft pick.
Really good story.
Yeah, 69th overall.
Nice.
Yeah. And he was a midfielder.
That's a really good story? You said
Well, we've been teeing me up for the nice jokes.
Yeah, I did. I saw the tweet he had of
Got it.
Surge and Dax coming in, and I couldn't help myself.
he went to the McDonough School
I don't know
in,
what that means.
in Owing Mills, Maryland. I don't know what it means either.
Okay. He was a midfielder in college. They've converted him. Pamuka has been working with him. And great on the ball. They like to, carry the ball a little bit out of the back. Think he has good instincts, but and I'm happy for him to get the playing time in Leagues Cup. These are basically his first starts ever as a professional. But this is Lionel Messi, man. This is a
Yeah, it's going to be. And Milanda has struggled with every 50-50 battle because he doesn't have the physicality. I know. I got it. Don't worry. I know. That's my L. I bigged him up all offseason, and he's been horrendous, which is why they play Jones back there. So then you talk about whether it's Campagna or Joseph, they're kind of going to have their day there. Then you have Taylor coming off the wing. It's a tough one. But the goals will be Charlotte will get chances.
Yeah, no, for sure.
If Swiderski is extremely efficient with the ones he gets, you're in the game. Might as well put pressure on the other team,
This just is tough. It's just tough.
Yeah, it's not an ideal one for them.
It's a victory for them to have made it this far.
Oh, 100%.
I think, yeah.
Philadelphia, well, that was dismissive of us right there. It's a victory for them to get, 100%. Philadelphia Union, where they expected to be in the quarterfinals. Querétaro, not where they expected to be, or at least not where anybody else expected them to be. You can watch this one on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Hope you have the multi-box ready because Nashville SC Minnesota is also at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Querétaro is just one of 2 Mexican teams in the quarterfinals. Monterrey is the only other one. It is a incredible story. Team is for sale. Nobody seems to want to buy them. Players were saying, hey, we haven't been paid. That $40 million reported pot from SBJ of win bonuses and everything else has got to be awesome for not just them, for everybody. They have a joint ownership with Tijuana, and basically their best players have just been sent to Tijuana repeatedly, and Tijuana's offloaded guys they don't want.
But they beat Tijuana in this tournament.
Yes. It is a fairy tale for Querétaro. Their coach said as much. Meanwhile, the Union are where they want to be. We read
So the coach said is basically a victory that they've made it this far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but for them, yeah.
The coach literally called the final group stage game against Cholos their final of the season.
Wow.
So then they won that game,
And they went into another final.
and then they won another. So at this point, they're at the Club World Cup.
Right.
They're all the
They have a
way.
list of finals.
They do.
This is a team after
true.
Andrew Wiggins'
Yeah.
heart. Did he just turn into a Querétaro fan?
No, but
We've already turned Anders into a lifelong Mazatlan fan over there.
yeah, it was losing Seattle and Mazatlan losing.
Yeah.
It was tough for Anders. Tough for him. That's why he ran away to Norway.
That's why he needed the vacation.
Exactly. Philly, though,
He's like
squeaking
Thor.
past the Red Bulls. What have you thought of the 3-5-2, Doyle?
It was great against Querétaro. I mean, that was the game that they went to the 3-5-2 for
5-1.
the first time, 5-1. Any formation that uses true wing backs, that's where you get your width and that's where you get a lot of your penetration. I don't think they have been great. At the same time, I think Philly's been a little over reliant on them. Like last night, I think Kai
Harrell
Wagner
was like half the attack.
Yeah, and Kai Wagner had 13 crosses, created 6 chances. Now, granted, some of that's from set pieces, but it has happened that way because they just haven't been as good and as clean through central midfield against DC and against the Red Bulls. Now, Querétaro, they don't do a great job of getting pressure to the ball. I think they let you play, certainly in a way that the Red Bulls don't, and in the way that DC United on the day did a good job of preventing Philly. But I think Philly should be able to get more time on the ball. And Philly's a Red Bull-esque team that they like to play, in transition. They like to be very direct. But they also have guys who cannot, like Jose Martinez. He could ping a pass, man. And, Jack McGlynn's probably going to be out there because Daniel Gazdag, he looked hurt. He came off hurt, and, we haven't gotten a concrete update, but it's hard to imagine him being 100% good to go on Friday. McGlynn is a player who likes to play the ball. Julian Carranza is a guy who likes to play the ball. So, they have the ability to break a team down using possession. I think we're going to have to see some of that because Querétaro, it's just going to be banks of four. It's going to be deep.
The one thing that I saw in the Red Bull game, which I think is specific to this one, was they started Gazdag as the second forward.
Yeah.
And one of the moments that Philly lives on is when one of the forwards goes into the channel and they're able to play a ball into the second forward making the run before a defense is set. And it didn't feel like that happened until Ua came on the field.
Yeah.
And then Andres Reyes made one of the best open field tackles I've seen in forever to block across, which was a tap in for Carranza. Mm-hmm. But that didn't happen because Gazdag doesn't make that same run. And so you had Harriel and Kai Wagner really being the main outlets up until that point. The expectation, as Doyle said, is Gazdag probably won't start the next game with the injury. Ura probably will. So I think that shifts things as well.
I'd rather see Quinn Sullivan or a more attack-minded player, particularly if they stick with the 3-5-2. Leon Flock was the player who was highest up the pitch from the midfield. And I really rate Leon Flock as a useful MLS player. What he's good at, he's really good at in terms of ground covering, winning duels. But he's more of a middle third player for me. That's not his best position to succeed when he's kind of the third attacker. And that definitely hampered to all of your points about they didn't really look that dangerous until Mikel Ura came on, and then they had the three attackers again. So I don't know. I hope that we can see a younger, more natural attacker like Joaquin Torres. I was speaking of taking L's. I was on in the offseason. I thought he was going to be a really good sign. He was going to give them something different, and he's just buried, man. It's when Andres Pereira, they traded him, or they loaned him rather to NYCFC to get some money and to get him playing time because, well, the season's just getting less congested from here on out. And when Philly were playing every 3 days, he still wasn't playing very much. And it's kind of the same thing with Joaquin Torres. So I don't know. I'd like to see Quinn Sullivan or somebody else get that chance.
Tom wants an invisible dog fence for Leon Flock in front of the final thing. That's what he said.
And I know we started with the Jim Curtin quotes, and Philly Red Bulls is a unique game and it's a unique experience. And I thought the energy of the game was really good. But like Tom said, I didn't think Philly was dangerous. They weren't against DC. They can't go to a shootout against Querétaro at home. This is a team that can't get over the hump in knockout games. They have one supporter shield. We have talked about this over and over again, including this year, going to another CCL semifinal. If this has,
I didn't even think about how obviously Union fans probably have, associate the pain. If Querétaro at home,
who you've already beaten 5-1 at home in this competition, they will host the next game no matter what if they win in the semifinal. So they can only travel for the final, and that's only if LAFC.
It could be LAFC. If they played LAFC at the end of another knockout tournament, that'd be going to the bank.
It would be the third
BMO,
time
sorry, going to the BMO.
In less than a year.
I don't want to say this was. I didn't watch the game. This was the game I was I will not be tuning in because the passing percentages and accuracy of previous games between these teams has been atrocious. But hey, 65% combined between the two. That's vintage soccer for Philly Red Bulls.
Oof.
And that's quality. It was hovering around 50 earlier this year. Just tough. You know what else is tough? Lewis Morgan being subbed on to miss a PK in the shootout.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's his first action back in how long?
Since the playoff game, right?
Yeah,
since the loss.
I thought he played this year.
Oh, he has come off the bench. He came off the bench and then got
hurt again.
Yeah. It's either way.
Didn't he say he was going to win the MVP this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to start going through the list?
Andres really should be taking that list down all year long.
Yeah.
Just all the L's. I bet
it's
you're
just
look bad here.
A PK shoot. A penalty is a unique, specific skill set. It's not soccer. And that's one of my reasons I think it's frustrating that games end that way. It's a different thing. But it feels very odd to sub him in just for that
I'm not a fan of that strategy.
when he hasn't even touched a ball. You don't have a batting cage for him.
Yeah,
to
it's not
just
like, it's
go.
like an NFL kicker who's been whacking it into
Right.
a net for the last 5 minutes.
And
I think we got a new idea. I think we got a new
build
idea.
batting cages.
Yeah.
And then to
Penalty
also,
kick cages.
I just felt like maybe shooting first even makes it quicker of like, let him just breathe a little. But that was the point of what they did. Like, he is supposed to be their attacking star. He's supposed to win MVP. So they wanted him to shoot first, and he took a bad penalty, in fairness, which set the tone wrong for them. It felt like a weird move to me, and now, like, where's Lewis Morgan at? Guy hasn't played in a year. He hasn't been healthy. Now all he has walking around with him is like, and I had the
Well,
penalty.
you came back from your physical ailment, so let us introduce a mental
Right.
ailment. Like,
So it just feels tough. Red Bulls obviously still can't score goals, and that's part of the big problem for them.
or win knockout games.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Philly, Querétaro should be interesting. Big time favorites are the Union, and big time underdogs are Querétaro. We'll see if the Union can respond and if the fairy tale can continue for Los Gallos Blancos. Nashville, Minnesota, 8:30 p.m. on Friday. Doyle, Sam Surridge, the big lad.
Mate.
What a oh boy, mate! What a debut! What a
It was
debut.
great. It was great. We've all said for a couple of years now, boy, Hani Mukhtar's great. Imagine him with a proper number 9.
A running mate.
So I was about to walk out.
Do it. You want to take this, Weavy?
No.
All right. I mean, it looked like what we thought it would look like if you give Hani Mukhtar a target forward to play off of. Obviously, super small sample size, and Nashville scouting has been hit and miss, to put it gently, with their big signings over the years. So it's not a done deal yet, but he looks the part of what makes sense for how they play and the needs that they have. I don't think that this is going to be a best 11 type of center forward, but he is going to be, I think, reliably very, very good. And if you put reliably very, very good next to the league MVP, you have, by definition, one of the best attacks in the league, to go along with what has been one of the best defenses in the league. I see no reason not to be very bullish on this Nashville team.
What was your favorite part of this game tying goal, Dave?
That, to everything Doyle just said, Hani gets down the left wing on the left side of the box in space, and Walker Zimmerman's making the run down the right side, and like that's been his best option for the last 2 or 3 years. And so I'm like, classic. Hani's going to hit as high a ball as he can to Walker, and we're hoping a center back can sky up and score his second goal of the game. And then instead of that, there was a third runner and third option, which was Surge, which has not existed. And he goes up in the air, and there's like that frozen in time moment where he's just sort of floating to the far side, to the far post, but just calmly nods it back to the near post. And so it was a very simple picture of here are all the things that have not existed happening at one time and in a dramatic moment against one of the biggest teams after the penalty kick. Like, there's obviously a lot more going on. The game was so much fun. It was similar to what Nico Estevez said about that other game. Like, the intensity level was where you want these games to be, and I think Club America brings that out of you. But that, all of that was, that's the picture of what they were looking for. Is he going to be the best other forward in the league? Maybe not. Is he going to be the best player they could have gotten at the time for whatever? I don't know. But if they win, doesn't really matter.
I love the Dax McCarty ball too.
Mm-hmm.
Like flat-footed, lets it bounce, half volley. Your only option, you have to get it forward. I mean, time's ticking down. Spin it up there to Hani in that little channel, so only Hani can get it and has time to let it bounce and then take the right touch, and then a beautiful floated ball, the curled run from Surridge. Yeah, it looks like it can work.
Yeah, and again, like I don't have too much more to add because this is what we've been talking about this team for months, for years. And you go back to Yannick Cadiz, that he seemed like the mold of what Gary Smith wanted as the forward next to Hani Mukhtar. He's got the same kind of build that Sam Surridge has, but he obviously very clearly did not work out. Then Ake Loba came in, and it was even worse. And to the point where Gary Smith wasn't even playing Loba and Mukhtar together, or even Loba in general, right? Like, so this, if again, even if it's just a baseline of solid, like, it's going to lift this attack so much because it takes pressure off Hani Mukhtar and it gives him a higher quality running mate, somebody that he needs, that he can float into the channels, that he can go underneath, that he can kill you in transition. He has somebody occupying the center backs. And, like, again, the front office, the coaching staff, the club have to be, again, small sample size. That's as good as his debut could have possibly gone.
Yeah.
So, like, they have to be patting themselves on the back.
It looks like he does the CJ Sapong stuff and has the potential to score a goal every other game. And if you have those two things combined, then you have the idea.
And those crosses now from the fullbacks become a lot more dangerous.
That's true.
I always want to be inside of the head of like a player like that, where it's like, I'm not sure, but my guess would be Sam Surge hasn't watched a lot of Club America games in his life, and like they score, the crowd is going nuts, right?
Yeah.
He's sitting on the field with like big time players who have played in World Cups and all that stuff, and it's just he's so far out of his element. But respect to Nashville that they've got guys like a Steve Guppy and a Gary Lewis who can translate and sort of connect with him. Former lads who have now been here, you know what I mean? Because that's
lad
the
culture,
Gosthira
lad culture is very strong. You're
so
right.
you can get him bridged into the gap. But
but-
like you look at his face and he looks like he's having a great time.
Yeah.
Well, how could you not? You're like that stadium is perfect.
Also, now he's the
atmosphere is
dude.
amazing.
He's just
Yeah.
spent the last X number of years just being lonely Surridge. of,
Now he
like,
comes off the bench, scores
Yeah.
the goal. Everyone's like bowing down to him. But like, there's beers
Panenka's.
being
He
thrown.
Panenka'd.
That was bold. That was a vibe for sure.
He's like, I'm a starter now. Somebody loves me. This is my team. I'm taking some risks. It's going to be really fun against Minnesota. I think there's some people out
Is
there,
it?
maybe myself.
Are we sure that was going to be fun?
Yeah, I think
because
it is.
I think it could be, but like I think we also saw last night two teams that do not love to have a ton of the ball for good chunks of time, and for both it almost came back to bite them. I hope that both teams come out on the front foot. I think both these teams have the ability to do so.
Agree.
There's no guarantee that's what we're going to get.
It's funny because Nashville came out on the front foot.
Yeah.
And Gary Smith had clearly talked with Taylor Tolman about wanting to punch Club America in the mouth before they could settle in, and they almost did. I thought they played really well. It's then going to be the opposite
Yeah.
on this one where they're like, well, we already did that. So we'll see.
Gaffer on Gaffer, Gary on Adrian, Hani versus Reynoso. Bongi. This is like a neutral perspective. Would it have been nice to see Copa America continue on just for the narratives?
Because you already got
Couldn't say.
You already
Nobody
got your
could say.
tickets.
Yeah, nobody could say. I certainly couldn't, but it will be Nashville, Minnesota United on Friday. LAFC Monterrey is the other matchup. This is a like ideal quarterfinal on Friday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. LAFC are back. Denny Bawanga is
We're not
back.
talking about Minnesota. We're just
We did the whole Bongi thing.
Oh,
we
we
gave
did.
Dane a lot of
Sorry.
time, and
My bad.
we're sort of at a point where we gotta
that's a mea culpa.
we gotta speed it up a tad. So I figured Denny Bawanga and LAFC and Monterey would be where we would go. But if you want to rewind, you can. What'd you think of Denny?
It's
Yeah.
awesome. And just like this LAFC team is rejuvenated after a couple weeks off. They're 11 goals scored and 1 conceded in their 2 games in the Leagues Cup right now. Again, like it is really disappointing from Real Salt Lake. We spent the whole summer talking them up. And again, this doesn't mean that they're knocked down a peg. It doesn't mean, you lose. They still got far in the tournament. I still feel very good about them, but this is a big blemish. That it wasn't just a loss. They got just absolutely dominated, played off the pitch. Like it looked like LAFC was another level.
And
Every
what does
goal-
that say about the Sounders?
Well-
who are now
Every goal RSL gave up was like not given to LAFC, but there was a lot of unforced or barely forced errors. Like the Justin Glad one.
That was ridiculous.
And that's not even pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought for the first 45 minutes, the first half, I actually thought RSL were the better team. Like, they were super dangerous. They were locked in on and off the ball. They weren't giving anything away. And then Ojeda gives the ball away once, 80 yards from goal, and it's off to the races for
Unbelievable.
Bawanga in particular, and like leaving bodies in his wake. And RSL, I think it was uncharacteristic to see them just crumble left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
surprised.
No Ruiz,
that.
I think, was part of like who wants the ball in pressure.
That's fair. That's actually a very fair point. But like this also speaks to, I think, the pressure LAFC puts you under. That look, they're the best team in MLS. They haven't I know they haven't been this season, but now that they have their legs under them, they're reminding everyone of why they won the double last year. They put you under a lot of pressure to be clean and to not make mistakes, and it reminds me of Monterey at their best. And this is what Monterey have done to basically every MLS team they've played against in CCL for the past 15 years. And I love what this RSL team have done through 2 games. I think against any other team, they would be clear favorites. Monterey is a different level. Monterey is a different beast. They have 5 CCL titles in the past 13 years, I think it is. They have that for a reason. They dominate in international competitions.
Can't wait for this game.
What's the LAFC weakness right now?
I mean, you could say speed at the center backs, right? Because Chiellini and Long are the primary pair, but I think it's actually that they don't have a true playmaker, especially with Carlos Vela out. So if you put them in a situation where they need to use the ball, which I think RSL did in the first half, they are not necessarily great at breaking you down in the way that LAFC teams of the past have. Basically, everybody on their team now is better in transition than they are in possession. Maybe that changes if Vela is good to go because he gives them, even at this age, he gives them a different element. But I thought in the Clásico Regio, Monterrey came out, and David and I actually had this conversation during the match preview on Season Pass. RSL or Monterrey came out and they had a ton of the ball and they put Tigres knocked them back on the back foot, and that was a different type of Monterrey than I think we've seen or tended to see in these tournaments. If they do that again against LAFC, I think that puts LAFC in a good position because it allows them to counterattack. But if it's a Monterrey that says, all right, you come upfield because we know what we're going to do once you throw a fullback forward, LAFC might be in a little bit of trouble.
On a less technical point, because it doesn't seem like anybody has anything more to add, how cool would it be to be able to just do a front flip, Denny Bouanga? Just being able to have that.
Duncan McGuire can do that, so
or Duncan McGuire. Or
everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it.
I'm saying one of us,
so
not one of them.
From what I understand, that's not too tough to pull off. So if you were to say a man in his mid-20s, a former college athlete, it feels like the type of thing
we got an excuse. I'm on the wrong side of 30. We're breaking down over here. You're the able-bodied front flipper.
You're in your athletic prime, Tom.
A lot of miles on different body parts here.
Liver mostly.
Yeah.
All right. Any thoughts on the quarterfinals before we wrap this bad boy up? Or on Leagues Cup overall? Actually, you know what? Let's end with this. What's your ideal Leagues Cup final? What's the one you imagine?
Philly LAFC.
Philly LAFC.
You want the rematch?
Yeah. I mean, I've picked Philly twice.
Yeah.
So I need to I'm ready to get hurt again.
Miami Monterey would be fun. I think some of the matchups that I'm really, really looking forward to this LAFC Monterey game. The possibility for Miami versus Philly in the semifinals would be great. And then again,
how could you just dismissing Charlotte and Querétaro like that? Their fans are going to be furious.
Yeah.
I think the most in the lights, bright lights, fills all the buckets is Miami.
Minnesota, Charlotte.
Losing to Charlotte, and then, yes, Loons, Crown Legacy, or whatever, Minties. Loons, Minties. No, it's Miami, Monterey. You have the Liga MX MLS connection. You have
Miami
Messi.
LAFC.
I mean, that's also...
Yeah, it's also great. But the whole tournament is based around these two leagues coming together. So I just think it would be
that
fitting.
game in the Rose Bowl? Miami LAFC. Leagues Cup.
I don't. If Miami's in it, I don't think it doesn't matter where they play it.
Yeah, no, it would be...
Yeah.
It would definitely be a spectacle. It would definitely be a show. Are LAFC clear favorites right now?
I don't think so.
Not against
they have to
not
play
against Monterey, right?
Okay.
I mean, Monterey have basically 3 DP caliber guys injured right now, and they still fielded a team with 9 DP caliber guys last night and 2 more on the bench.
You're talking about Jonathan Gonzalez?
Yes. Yeah, Jonathan Gonzalez. They're they go out. I wrote this at the beginning of the tournament. Monterey, Club America, and Tigres combined in the last 5 years have signed I think, 13 players for $10 million or more transfer fees. MLS, in total, all 29 teams, all 28 years, have signed 7. And 4 of those guys were by Atlanta. So they just like in terms of who they shop for, the biggest Mexican clubs are still operating at a different level than every MLS team.
Minnesota Monterrey, Jonathan Gonzalez revenge game.
There you go.
And now that we're there, I think we wrap this show up. It's been a good time, guys.
We're not going to talk about free agents? Make it a 3-hour show?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. The free agent list came out from the MLSPA, but Maria has been, every time update I've gotten has just been a little bit more like,
Maria was working until
are
3
you
a.m.?
going to end this show now? And I think as a gift to Maria, I am going to end the show. But I do have some great mail that we'll get to on the next show because, look, it's just a couple, it's less games now. We're just
Yeah,
No, we
trimming
end
it
every
down,
show
so there should be
with
more time.
So we'll do 5 hours on free agency.
Right. All right. Enjoy the matches, everyone. Friday night, 4 matches. Leo Messi playing at 8:30 with Inter Miami against Charlotte. And, of course, the nightcap should be great too, Monterrey, LAFC. We'll find out who's in the semifinals and chat with you after that on Monday.
Who could sign Diego Rubio?
Oh, the sweepstakes begins. Adios.